Greetings, Romy. You're listening and watching WromComms, the podcast sharing the joy of sim racing and motorsports made by the WromWrom team. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Serta and I will be the host today. On this month's episode of WromComms, we have Zolder. Oh, Zolder?
I'm an iRacer now.
And we all love a V12 coming soon.
What do we want to start with, ladies and gentle bunnies?
Do you know where we can start? Because this is probably where people are going to be quite interested, and it will make a really good title for the episode as well. Cody, you've done iRacing.
Yes.
You've gone to the dark side of the force.
Yeah, it
How
feels like
does it
saying, hey guys,
feel?
I tried crack. Can we say that this early in the video?
Sure.
I don't know.
It's been long enough with the intro and everything, it'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, so yeah, I in the last episode, we were talking about how I was interested in trying iRacing, specifically because of the Gen 4 NASCAR Cup car coming to iRacing. And I did it. I dove in and I did it. Steam's having a big sale. As part of that, iRacing is doing a massive discount, especially on their longer term stuff. So I dove headfirst and I got 2 years for like 70 some odd bucks. That comes out, I think, under $10 a month for all of that. Someone please check my math and tell me I'm wrong. But I think it's about that.
It's 35 per year, so
yeah,
it's by far under.
Yes. Yeah. It's 35 divided by 12. I'm just going to do this. £2.91 a month. No, that's not right. My phone is high, clearly.
I think it's something like $8.95 or something like that. I think I did do the math when I bought it, because I made responsible purchases and I knew what I was getting into. So he says, but yeah. So I have been for the past couple weeks, off and on, diving back into iRacing, and it took me a minute to get it set up. I first installed it, and it told me gave me the iRacing UI. And I went and I had a lot of fun putting in my team colors on all the cars. Their livery builder thing that they have is pretty fun.
First thing that Cody does with iRacing is do the liveries. Not racing, no, the liveries.
No, that makes sense.
Did you expect anything else?
No.
Did you expect anything else?
Look, it's like Warframe. You don't play Warframe because you're a super ninja with all these guns and that sort of thing. You play Warframe because you can dress up really nice.
Yeah, there you go.
It's called Fashion Frame.
But yeah, so I went through and I did all that. I did pick out that you can choose. This gets really granular, but you can choose the design of your racing suit, which is pretty cool. So I have team colors on my racing suit, and have a vertical or diagonal triangular slash that I actually have the same thing on my business cards for my freelance stuff. So that works out really nicely. But yeah, so I went through and made it all brand appropriate because I do that. And then I got
pretty now.
Yes, I'm pretty now. Yes, absolutely. But then I went and I launched a race. I wanted to load up just a practice session just to test out the controls, get everything mapped. And I immediately got an error after just a fresh install. And it was just cannot find sim. What do you mean? So I go from the launch to actually launch it.
Arcade game.
Yeah. iRacing's cannot find sim. What do you mean? And so I do a little bit of digging and I look on some forums, and apparently it was having trouble with an anti-cheat thing that uses easy anti-cheat, which apparently whenever you install iRacing, it installs the installer for easy anti-cheat, but didn't actually install easy anti-cheat. So I had to go into the files and launch the startup for easy anti-cheat and install that manually. why? That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I did get it installed, and then after that it worked perfectly. I loaded up, mapped all my doodads, and did one AI race on an oval, which I think was Langford Speedway. Was the one for this week, and then I loaded up. So that was what my first time loading up iRacing was that, and then perhaps against my better judgment, my second time loading up iRacing was loading up an AI. I'm sorry, not an AI race. Loading up an actual race against other people.
Oh God.
And it went actually perfectly.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It was great. I started. It was open to rookies. So iRacing, if you're not familiar, iRacing has a class system. So you start out in rookies, and that's where all the scrubs are, right? And then everyone else who's just trying to build back up. So you have people who are actually taking it seriously, and then people who are just being stupid with it. So that's rookies, and a lot of people have opinions on rookies, right? And then there's D class, C class, B class, A class, and then like the world championship, whatever that is above like your super license thing.
Something, I think, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And so I'm trying to get at least to C class, which is I think the minimum that you need to race the Gen 4 Cup cars. Because again, I have a sole focus here. I am determined on that. And then also for all of those classes, there's like 3 paths of those classes. There's the road course racing path. There's the oval racing path, and then there's like I think rally is the rallycross path, and so those are all separate. So you can be world class, whatever, top tier in road racing, but you'd still be starting out in rookies in oval racing. They're 2 different tracks. So I'm focused pretty much solely on the oval racing track because the road course stuff I have.
You can do
LMU and Asetek Corsa and R Factor 2 and all of the rest of the world. I don't need iRacing for that. But I the whole purpose of me starting this is to do oval racing, and so
to do NASCAR Gen 4 and oval racing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I'll branch out. I'll do other stuff too, for sure. And importantly, you have to. I'm starting out with the like the modifieds. I think they're called. They're like street stocks or something like that. I think it was street stocks. So that's what I'm starting out in. So if you see a dark blue in the dark blue in the back, say that 5 times fast, and light blue in the front. Street stock car driving around iRacing, and it says Cody Swanson on it. Hi, that's me. Please be nice.
Really be nice, because he'll talk about you on our podcast that people listen to.
Yes, I remember names. I remember names.
Does iRacing have the autosave function so that we can like insert the crashes afterwards as well?
Yes.
It, I think, does, but you have to enable it. I didn't enable it for the first few races that I've been doing, mostly because I was afraid that if there was a big crash that I was going to be the one to start it. Thankfully, that's never happened. I have not, knock on wood, I have not yet gotten into an incident of my doing yet. There were 2 dudes who spun each other out right in front of me one time, and then they ended up like parked right in front of me, and so it was either I could back up or I could push the guy out of the way to keep going. And so I just slowed down and pushed the guy out of the way to keep going, and iRacing was of course like, you know, -3x or whatever it was.
I'm actually having an issue with that with LMU at the moment.
Do tell. That's a good way to transition.
I wasn't planning on transitioning. I want to come back to iRacing, but I have been spending a lot of time on LMU. I've got a direct drive back. I've got the game. I've got all the DLC and everything. Or I've got the 2024 season pass because it was discounted, and I mean, why the hell not? And was jumping on dailies, and I noticed that every little contact you have is a mark against you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that contact is side by side in your mid corner and everyone survives it and that sort of thing, it still counts against you, which is fine unless you're on the outside of a corner, and then there's nothing you can really do about it, and you just get marked down because you had body contact with someone. I'm not saying there's a better way. It's just it's not unique to iRacing. Right, so the corner cutting in LMU is significantly better than ACC because you get assessed on the microsectors like you do in ACC, but you get told how far ahead you are, and you have about 2 or 3 seconds to pay that time back. So, like literally in a race today, and was forced across the inside of the apex by a hypercar, and just kind of, it's got orange. Okay, just let off until it goes green, and then carry on. And that is then not a mark against you. You don't. It doesn't even, in the new safety system, it doesn't even register that you left the track in the slightest, which is a really, really nice way of doing it.
That is nice, yeah. But yeah,
not nice.
Yeah.
Slightly different.
Yeah, the iRacing damage model, which again, like I said, thankfully in my online racing experience, I've yet to experience a major crash. I am certain that will change. But so far, I am yet to experience a major crash.
Your camera
speak of the devil there. That's hilarious.
Oh, God.
That you couldn't plan that.
You can't write that. That's beautiful. The other thing that I was going to say is, because you said that you're finding that you're falling away from the pack at the moment. I know why that is.
Oh, do tell. Yeah, okay, I think that was before we started the podcast.
That's before we started. So you say that bit first.
On pace, because I am starting out. The series that I'm primarily racing in right now for short ovals is open to rookies, but it's also open to some of the larger classes. It's not a rookies only race. And the reason that I chose to enter that is it was close, it was near, and it was on a track that I wanted to try out. And B, I kind of like the idea that I am a fairly experienced sim racer, less so with ovals, but I've done ovals. I've raced ovals before. I have, some experience. Of course, it's a new sim, it's a new car. I've got to get used to it. I have no pretense. I'm not pretending to think that I'm going to be an instant expert. However, I do understand racecraft. I do know how to get myself around a lap. And for these fixed setup races, I feel like, I can go against people who are going to be faster than I am, and that's fine. I'm just trying to build up experience. Go.
Yeah. So the reason why it's interesting that you're saying about you seem to be around the back is probably because you've been given a much higher driver rating starting out than you should have, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
Right, so I'm pretty sure iRacing has 2 ratings, but you only see it has 2 ratings: your driver rating and your safety rating. The safety rating is what dictates what cars you can drive, so that's the thing that we actually care about. The driver rating is the rating that you get for finishing higher and lower.
Yeah, so I think before you get into it further, I think in rookies, from looking at my iRacing, I think I'm unranked in
Yes, but you do still have an SR. You do still have a driver ranking. It's just not showing you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what it's done is it's given you something, let's say 2000 iRating, as an example. So you're being put up against people who have dropped driver rating and then built back up to where they are now. There's a lot of experience that you're driving against in the sim in those cars.
As far as I know, the iRacing uses a slightly tweaked ELO system. Like if you win against people who are higher than you, your wins count more. If you lose against people that are lower than you, your losses count more. Like
So
it's what they use at chess, and it was developed by an Hungarian guy.
So what I'm saying is, eventually the opponents will come to your level, and then you'll start finding that you're in the middle of the pack and you're in the top of the pack.
I see. Okay, good to know.
So that's not I was gonna say that's not a permanent thing. It's something that will come with time. Again, it's another thing that I've had with LMU, because obviously if you get taken out and you lose your rear wing, you're in the pits for 3 minutes. So you are last. And that has dropped my driver racing to the point where in some of the races I am an entire second faster than people in qualifying.
I see. Gotcha.
So
yeah. So what you're
it will
saying
come
is, I just need to like go in and lose more, and then if I sandbag enough.
No.
Yes, correct. That is the right answer. Sandbag and then start live streaming.
Yeah, there you go.
And then you'll look like a pro in rookies. Winner.
That's funny. But yeah, no, I'm going in with the understanding that there are people who have been playing only iRacing and only ovals for as long or longer than I've been sim racing at all. So like I'm not going in with any pretense that like, oh, I'm gonna clean house, no.
No, your first race always teaches you that you're not going to clean house.
Yeah,
that's the worst part about sim racing is they don't put you in at an easy level. They're just like, okay, so this is the very top of where you could start. We're going to knock you down from here.
That's funny.
You will learn.
But yeah, all the racing I've ever done online has been league racing. The ranked matchmaking stuff is definitely not what I'm used to. So this has been kind of fun. I'm kind of liking it. Like I don't even do a whole lot with oh gosh, what's the rate? Man, what do they call it? It's the one for the set of course in the other sims. Low fuel motorsports. I don't even do a whole lot with LFM. I think I've done one LFM race.
I can't. Yeah, ACC is not a good sim to be driving rookies in. It's just not fun.
Fair enough.
It's so not fun.
Yeah.
But again, we have AMS2 on LFM, and I really need to try that. Because that would be amazing fun, even if it was just the older GT3s. God, just having that handling would be so cool.
I will say the iRacing AI, pretty good. I've only done the one race, but it was a pretty long race. Pretty good. I like it.
Nice.
So, as a preview for the new NASCAR game.
So I don't know if I could compare it 1-to-1 for the new NASCAR game because I'm racing on a very short oval, and I don't know how short the ovals are getting in the new NASCAR game because I think the lowest that they're starting with is ARCA, which doesn't race on that short an oval. I think they race on some pretty short tracks, but I don't think they race on that short an oval.
So for the uninitiated who haven't heard of short ovals, and because obviously we have a rather international audience.
Mostly US and UK, but yeah.
What is a short oval? And
okay,
what do you mean by they don't go to that smaller short oval?
Okay, so in oval racing, there are 3 main classifications of ovals. So there's super speedways, intermediate ovals, and short ovals. Super speedways are anything over, I think it's 1.5. It's either 1.5 or 2 miles, one of those. So anything above that, and that is there's I think like 7 of them, and that includes like Daytona, Talladega. I think Pocono is technically one of those. Indianapolis is a super speedway, and the type of racing there is categorized by you almost never have to lift. especially for Daytona and Talladega, those are restrictor plate, drafting behind the next guy. That's how you pass kinds of tracks. And they're my favorite to race on because it really becomes all about strategy. It's a very, believe it or not, it's a pretty cerebral way to race because you are having to plan out. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to outbrake the guy at the next corner. That's gone. Yeah, there's no braking. You're not hitting the brakes. Pocono, you're hitting the brakes, but that's just because they have a really weird triangle. But anyway, so that's super speedways. What most of your NASCAR circuit racing is done on is intermediate ovals, and that is between, I think, 1 mile and, again, either 1.5 or 2 miles. And that is most of the tracks that you think of whenever you think of oval racing. That is Texas Motor Speedway, that is Chicagoland, that is just about everything. And then once you get down below 1 mile, 1 mile and below, so Dover is the largest short oval because it's exactly 1 mile, and that's a hell of a track. It's super banked.
Yep. I've seen.
If you have Dover in a sim, go try Dover. It's fun. But anyways, so 1 mile and below is short ovals, and that encompasses a lot because there's, like I was talking about, Dover, which looks like any other intermediate oval. It's just a bit smaller, super banked. You're going as fast as you would on an intermediate oval, all the way down to near where I grew up. There's a track called Boyd Raceway, and it is like, I don't even think it's 1/8 of a mile around. It is made out of dirt. One side of it does not have a banking, or one side of it does not have a banking, and the side that does have a banking does not have a catch fence, or at least it didn't when I was watching races there. So those are all short ovals.
I'm gonna show my lack of culture now, but you remember the first Cars film?
Yes.
Doc Hudson on the dirt oval. Is that similar to what your local track? Smaller than that.
Oh yeah, way smaller than that.
Wild.
That one's probably like a little bit smaller than even the ones that I'm trying out in iRacing, or a little larger than the ones I'm trying out in iRacing. So yeah, and then, they get there's some teeny tiny short track ovals, and this one that I'm doing in iRacing, or the one that I was doing this past week, is called Langford Speedway. I think it's Langford. And in that, it's a pretty wide turn as far as short ovals go. But you're you're turning for over 75% of the lap. Like there's maybe like 15% that you're like fully straight with the wheel on. Outside of that, it's just corner, like turn. It's like you're going around in almost a circle. Yeah, and so that's pretty typical of a lot of the like small town Friday night back road kind of oval track racing that you see in most of the US. So that's what I'm racing in iRacing right now. is that
in the UK we call those derby races. Also, 1/8 of a mile is 200 meters.
Yeah, something like that.
I've run further than that.
Smallest oval track in the USA.
Absolutely wild. Like, okay, right. Okay. So 200 meters is 1/5 of the average go-kart track in the UK.
Yeah. So the shortest NASCAR track is Martinsville. I think they call that one the paperclip. It is a half-mile track. It is 0.5 miles. So there are short tracks that are half that size in the US.
That is... How many cars can you put on that? It can't be many.
It's not many. Yeah. I think they would race. I think the maximum was like 10 cars. I think they would race at Boyd when I was going and watching those tracks. But I mean, at Martinsville, they put the whole 40-car field on that half mile.
It's just ridiculous. It's an accident waiting to happen. You'd never get away. As I say, we call it derby racing in the UK because you would never get away with that on an actual race course.
Well, you guys are also racing what, Mini Coopers on those?
Yes, but we also race everything up to like Renault Lagunas and like large saloons. Large for the UK, medium-sized saloons for America.
For us, like, that would be like clapped out Chevy Cavaliers that people have ripped the interiors out of.
That's it, yeah. Absolutely spot on. But, you know, not the American Cavalier, the English Cavalier, which, do you know what the English Cavalier looks like?
No, I'm looking this up.
Hang on. Because obviously in the UK...
I mean, there's a dog called the English Cavalier, but...
No, it's much worse. It's so much worse than that.
The Vauxhall Cavalier.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a better looking car than the Chevy Cavalier. Look up what a Chevy Cavalier looks like. It's probably the ugliest car you think I've ever seen. It's horrible, and they're bad cars to boot. So it's like it has no redeeming qualities. Yeah.
First generation isn't bad though.
It's not great.
It's an American. It's a normal American. Oh. Wait, is that an S? You have the coupe.
We sure do.
Is that just a Rover SD1?
Maybe.
There's your comment. There's the first comments that are going to be coming through. How dare you? Anyway. Yes,
but Chevy Cavalier, horrible car. A buddy of mine in high school, he had one. And now I almost never see them on the road. I pretty much have only ever seen them on the back of a trailer with a number on the side of them going to a dirt track race.
And so they should. That is, you know what? We should do that with Fiat Multiplers in the UK. I would absolutely go and see Multipler Banger Racing just to see them get off the road.
Yeah, there you go.
Coming back to iRacing.
Yes. Oh yeah. I want to ask you guys, as now the resident iRacing expert, certainly the person with the most iRacing experience. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah. How's the feedback?
Yeah. So I would
physics,
say
really.
I actually had to turn the intensity down on my wheel because it was killing my arms. So strong.
Sure,
certainly
but
I
is
will
it
say
fine?
strong. It is good. I would say in terms of fidelity, I have been driving it again on like what is a pretty back alley short oval, and so this thing, even when they scanned it and put it, you could tell it had not been paved in a while. It's bumpy. And so I felt, I mean, you feel all the bumps. It feels, I'm not grainy, but certainly like I could tell what the car was doing throughout all of it. I think I do have some tweaking to do with the iRacing force feedback settings to like really dial it into how I like it. But I think in terms of a baseline, it feels good. It doesn't feel, I'll say it doesn't feel any worse than the ovals, the bumpier ovals that I've done in Assetto Corsa. So compared to that as a baseline, it's pretty good. And I'm sure there will be some like hardcore iRacing dudes who are like, "How dare you compare that?" Yeah, no, I mean it's not worse. And I think I think there's so many like buttons and knobs to turn within iRacing force feedback. And I know that there's even some third-party tools as well. There's one that's like Marvin something or another that just came out. And so there's a lot to explore with that. But I will say for now it's a good baseline. It feels responsive. I know what the car's doing. When I rotate the car, I feel that I'm rotating the car through the wheel. It's all working for me so far.
Good. I'm actually really happy about that because
yeah.
it's one of the things. Because way back, well, back in the day, obviously iRacing was like 60 hertz force feedback system, and you had to drive like it was on rails, and
no, they've gone 360 for many of the hardware choices.
Yes, they've made a massive step forward in their force feedback lately, and I'm glad to see that's actually giving some results.
Yes. Oh, another thing I was thinking about, like, how has iRacing changed since, before I came, and whenever you load up the first time user experience now, actually pushes you towards doing AI races before you race against other people. And so, of course, iRacing didn't have AI for a whole, majority of its existence. And so it's interesting now they've revamped the new player experience to say, hey, okay, first, load up into a practice session. And then once you load up immediately, they're like, all right, let's map your controls. And it pulls up like the mapping wizard pretty much immediately. And so now you've mapped all your controls, and they're like, all right, drive around, test it, see how you feel. And then once you leave, it's like, congratulations, you've done your first iRacing session. Now try a race against the AI. And so then you follow that. You load up into, a race with the AI, and you can race against the AI, and you can do that as many times as you want. And then after that, it's like, hey, here's the license class system, and then there's the bread and butter of all of this is the online racing. Here's all the online racing that we have. So they do a really good job now of like the new player experience. Now, if only I didn't have to like go in and launch the easy anti-cheat thing. That feels like an easy thing to change. Just like auto run that when you install the sim, but
there may be a reason not to do that. Like legally speaking, it's not their software.
Perhaps,
so
but then they don't tell you what you have to do. I had to like go and dive for it. It was very
there
strange.
may have been an issue with the installer, because when I tried out iRacing, first of all, the experience was horrendous, nothing compared to the excellent experience that you've been talking about. And second, the easy anti-cheat was already installed. By the iRacing installer, so maybe there was a glitch in the system for whatever reason.
Possibly.
One thing that I wanted to ask: are you using VR?
Okay. I'm not using VR. I told you guys about my VR experience. I'm not using VR for anything right now.
Exactly.
Screw you, Microsoft, for turning my $600 VR headset into e-waste just with a Windows update. Thanks, bro.
But there was a comment in one of our videos saying that there's a third party that they're trying to unbrick the VR.
Yeah. I'm not throwing away my HP Reverb G2 just yet. Because I think there is a chance for that, but from what I've seen, it's going to be an uphill battle to really get that to work, especially because the compatibility is like built into the operating system at like the OS like internal code level. So it's like trying to figure out a black box.
But it's done by a former a now or a former Microsoft developer. So he's got inside information, and for sure he at least has got all the developer access. Developers get registered developers get a lot of access to Microsoft internal stuff.
Well, fingers crossed for that then. But yeah, so and you can't get a $1,000 monitor and not use it. So
I think here's the thing as well is I've tried VR several times at this point, and several price points, and it's just it adds another level of uncanny valley to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel slower in it.
Yeah.
Not my experience at all, but sure.
Oh yeah, every time I talk about racing with you, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to be too slow." So maybe
but the thing is,
it's worth looking into not using VR.
No, I'm slower. I'm slower without. I'm even slower without VR.
It's okay. He's slow in real life as well. We won't go into that, but yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to touch. I wanted to touch on something else, which was oh god, there was a point you triggered the thought in my brain, Cody. The Stop Killing Games petition. I don't know who put it in the doc, but it's there. And I want to talk about it as well. Anyway.
Yeah, let's discuss, because this is big
maybe
news.
Maybe we should start saying why it's there and what it is. Do you want to go, Ike? I
was going to say who put it in there.
Me.
Was it you?
Me.
Yeah, you go. After you. So,
it all during the time that games exist and games have been delisted, and what triggered all this brouhaha, the actual brouhaha, is who is it? Ubisoft delisting the Crew, Crew. And not only delisting it, turning off the servers so that nobody can play the Crew anymore. There is no way to play the Crew, which is something that people were not informed about when buying or when paying for the Crew. Because one thing that you do not do is buy a game. You don't buy the game. You get a license to be allowed to use the game. That's one thing that they have in the fine print every time that you don't read the EULA and say, yes, I have read it and I accept it, because we never do. They of course use that legalese to say, hey, we can do whatever we want with that. And it's not the only one, but the Crew was the one that triggered the Stop Killing Games. And what they want to do, they have put out one for the UK, which they say it's just to cover all bases, but they have put out one for the which has gone well over the limit needed for petitions. But the most important one for the organizer, and I agree, is the one for the European Union. And that one has passed 1 million signatures. But 1 million signatures is the minimum, and they go and check all the signatures. So if there's even one teeny tiny error in that signature, the house number is wrong, the name is misspelled, or whatever, the signature doesn't count. And from my experience, and that's something that they are saying too, is you need at least 10 to 20% more than the limit. So they now passed the 1 million. They want to get to 1,200,000 or 1,400,000 to be on the safe side when the EU does eliminate any signature that does not look right. And that is correct. I mean, if you have a signature to start a legal proceeding, and that signature is not okay, of course, it's not going to count. If there is a signature on a contract that says that you have to pay £1 million to somebody, and it's not your signature, you don't want it to count. So,
yes, I'm going to say something. My fellow Americans, please, I admire your enthusiasm. Do not sign this petition.
No, really don't.
Unluckily, the EU petition is only for citizens of the European Union. What this petition,
which again, all the more reason to be sad for the UK leaving the EU again.
Yeah, but one of the many reasons. You'll come back soon. You'll be back. In other, so what this petition is gonna do is it's gonna, should it pass through, which we all hope and expect, it would bring the issue of companies delisting games and killing them in the way that the crew is killed because you cannot play them anymore to the ears and eyes of politicians of the European Union. And the important thing is the moment the European Union starts discussing something, other countries all around the world start listening, because there is a fact in political science that laws that come out for the EU end up being applied even in countries where they don't count by the companies, because it's a 300 plus million user market nobody wants to lose. Therefore, they abide. Case in point, Apple now has a USB-C connector that they said, now we're bringing it to you because we are so nice to you. No, they were forced by EU law to do that. So coming back to the point, it's a long way from the petition.
I love how smug he looks when he says that.
Because Apple,
how smug he looks.
Because Apple were trying to bullshit people.
Oh no!
They didn't say they didn't say we were forced. They said, we are bringing it now as a new thing. Yay! No. Come on, man.
The thing that gets me about it as well is they said for years that that USB-C is a worse port than Lightning, and it's like, no, I can transfer things off of my phone at 5 to 10 gigabits per second. What's your speed? 300 meg?
Yeah. Coming back to the petition, it's going to be a long way since it becomes law, even if it does at all. But the important thing is it's going to be discussed within the EU system and in the EU Parliament, at least at the level of this is a citizen's petition that has some importance. That means it's going to be in the minds of not only EU politicians, but also politicians of countries around the European Union and beyond. That brings the issue of companies just doing what they think they can because of this legal loophole of you didn't buy the game, you only bought a license. We can now say that the license is null and void, even if you paid $90 for it. F you. It's going to bring it to a big and important discussion, and I think that is worth supporting. We did when the petition started. We did last Sunday, which for us is tomorrow. For people watching the podcast is a couple of days ago. Go and sign it if you are a EU citizen. Let's go get the 1.4 million signatures. Because it's a matter that has to do with each and any of us. No other company has done on sim racing or racing what Ubisoft did, but they can all do that, and we should forbid them for doing that. If they say...
we have, in a way. Project Cars 2 got delisted.
That's true.
Correct, but you can still play it if you buy it. You can still play it, and you can still multiplayer.
Yeah, you can play it. Right, you can't multiplayer it.
Oh yes, you can, because it's P2P.
Can you?
Of course, it's peer-to-peer. It doesn't use servers.
It still requires the server browser.
I think the server browser, I would have to look, but I think the server browser in Project Cars is internal, and it does not access a server. I may be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But as far as I remember, yeah.
I still have it installed because I'm still waiting for the comeback of Project Cars 2. So I've just got dark because Project Cars 2 is launching.
It's called Automobilista 2.
It is. You are absolutely correct. I can't disagree with you. But it was withdrawn from sale, and you can't buy it anymore. So
but okay, that's okay. If I have a product and I delist it, okay. I have
similar to products no longer being available on store shelves. Yeah, as much as I hate 100%. That for a digital product, I think that's reasonable.
But what the petition says is you are not allowed to do that, to close the servers, if you have never said that this is one possibility. You have to inform the buyers of a license that the server can and may get shut down, and the game will be worth nothing anymore because you cannot play it. As I said, Project Cars 2, you can still play it, but the crew, if the servers are not there, you cannot. It's an always online. It's like one of the games.
Basically.
One of the games that is driving me crazy that I've been playing for the last weeks, Dune Awakening. If the server is not there, you cannot play it because the whole game is built around being on servers. So they want to change that, and they want to bring the issue with users only buying licenses and what it means for the companies and how much money the companies are doing, especially companies like Ubisoft. And let's not go into the sexual harassment issues. Three managers are going in jail for that, and that's a good thing. So it's gonna bring it to a big place, and that is the European Union. And maybe things in the laws are going to change, maybe not, but at least it's going to be discussed if the petition goes through.
Yeah. Well, I think my understanding of the situation is that it's less about, as you say, Serta, it's not about getting laws put in place. It's finding out what the best way forward is, because companies might just need guidelines. Like, that's all that might be needed, is to tell them, look, no, you can't just withdraw people's licenses. Like, I have a driver's license, and you can't just withdraw my license for no reason. Right? You need to have a reason behind it, and we don't want to is not a good reason. And so if the end of life, if that's all it is that they have to provide a good reason before they EOL and shut down servers and restrict your access, and maybe, reimburse, refund, discounts on the game that they're coming up with a sequel or whatever.
Or do something like the servers for this game are gonna be alive for at least 5 years, 10 years, and you're not allowed as a company to close them before that.
I think that would be too restrictive, and it doesn't account for things like companies going bankrupt and things like that. The best thing that
they should put the money for the server on escrow. So there's ways around that.
I was going to say, the way that I would like to see it done personally is when a product is declared EOL, like the company is not interested to maintain it anymore. Source code gets source code.
Yeah, source code.
Code gets put in a repository, and at a very minimum, the server executable is made available. So you can run your own server.
I would even be of the opinion that when you consider software, any kind of software, and especially games, end of life, you have to put the code on public domain.
Yep.
Everybody should get a go at the code. Exactly. I mean, there's a whole world out there of public domain, open source things. Yep. The internet is open source, so we've talking through a system that is that. So
we've had conversations before about how mods and community support has kept games alive. Assetto Corsa is only Assetto Corsa because of mods. The vanilla experience of Assetto Corsa is not good. It doesn't stand up to any level of scrutiny, even in 2013. Bearing in mind, iRacing is also... No, iRacing is a 2011 sim. It counts.
Although, it's not end of life. It's still being worked upon, iRacing.
So. Yeah.
The thing with Assetto Corsa, though, is that on console, like, they've sold more on console than they have on PC. Which is very strange.
I think they've sold slightly less. I think they've sold 42% on console, but maybe I'm getting the numbers wrong.
But also, Cody, So I tried crack. You don't go sim racing on a console because you want to sim race on a console. You sim race on a console because you want to sim race, and a console is all you have. And then my team, Logistical Nightmares, started out on Gran Turismo on their consoles, and then they moved to Assetto Corsa Competizione, and then they bought PCs. Because that's what you do. It's the consoles, as they have always been, are the gateway drug to PC gaming, and that's
in
the main
parts, yeah.
thing that they serve. Yeah. No, that's the thing that they serve is you try gaming on console, and if you like it, if you really like it, you go and play on PC. I'm gonna get hate for that. I know I am, and it's gonna be really funny. I do have my PC Master Race t-shirt.
Guys.
I do have my PC Master Race t-shirt in my cupboard. I can go and get it if you want. I'm paid up.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, moving on.
Speaking of PC racing games,
go ahead. Ike, you wrote, "We all love a V12 coming soon."
We do. There's a V12 coming to a sim that we've been talking about a lot. There's also another naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 coming to the GT3 class. If you don't know, this is the Le Mans Ultimate update. We've covered in the news. They are releasing their 1.0. Stephen Hood has publicly said they don't want to hide behind the moniker of early access anymore, which is well played. Little golf clap for that reference as well, calling out all of the games that have been in early access for upwards of 10 years. Yeah, too. I think that's just that they've suffered from focus creep. Anyway, so they're bringing out 1.0. There is a lot of fixes coming. They are still fixing the game. There is still no career mode in the game, which is something that they promised. That is supposedly coming later on this year. So expect delays early 2026 at the very earliest.
I feel Le Mans Ultimate will have career mode sooner than Automobilista 2.
You are correct. But the steps that they have been taking and the things that they have been pushing towards is to have the complete everything. And there are whispers. We already know that the ELMS content is coming to Le Mans Ultimate in the near future as well, which obviously includes the 4 new tracks, the LMP3 car, which is by far and away the best prototype car. I will not listen to it, you Le Mans dentists, apologists. It is the best Le Mans car because it has the least power and the, relatively speaking, most aero compared to the powers. Anyway, but in the 1.0 update that is coming on my birthday of all days,
Happy birthday.
Thank you. They are bringing out the Aston Martin Valkyrie LMH and the Mercedes AMG GT3 free.
Yep,
both are going to be free, and it marks the 1.0 update, and it means that I can finally drive my AMG again after Kunos brutally ripped all of the taste and talent out of it in ACC, and we will get to listen to V12s rattling around Le Mans and all of the other tracks within the beautiful audio system that R Factor 2 and Le Mans Ultimate both have. I have no real notes beyond that, other than, oh my goodness, I can't wait. Any comments from you two? Because the other thing that I can talk about is how I've had the Lexus. I've been driving the Lexus in competition recently, and my God, it sounds so good from the external shots.
But I want to talk about career modes in games because this is the kind of thing. So with LMU getting a career mode, first off, I'm excited. I like the TLDR of this is I love career modes in games.
Yes.
My experience with iRacing over the last several weeks has reminded me how much more I enjoy a racing game when there is a purpose or a point to it, right?
Yeah.
If I'm just loading up a free session, like that's I mean, I do that a whole lot, and I load up AI races, and I'll just do a single AI race, especially in Assetto Corsa with a whole bunch of historic cars, recreating a classic race. Like I love that sort of stuff. What's better than that? Recreating a championship.
Yep.
The whole championship. And then it's like I load up a race and it's like, okay, I did this, I did that. Okay, I did okay here. This guy's really, really, taking off in the points. He's the guy I got to look out for, and then I can track that, and there's like a storyline that forms, and I feel like I'm telling a story throughout a championship. That is what a career mode is to me. And it gives the race, like, why am I competing against this AI?
The name
why do I care?
You attach meaning to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think
it gives everything so much more meaning, and I love that so much about it. It's one of the things that I respect about the F1 games. As much crap as we give them, they do a really good job of like this season, like there's a story going on. There's a point to it all.
Although my feeling is that the F1 games have the career mode pretty much on rails. I like from what I've been hearing from the Project Motor Racing career mode. That's gonna sound very interesting.
Yes, yeah, that's kind of what I was wanting to talk about. PMR.
You have two ways to play it. You can play it the way that all of us have been playing it, and I suppose I'm gonna end up playing it, which is you can restart games, you can decide the level of the EI, blah blah blah, and so on. But you have the other way, which is what they call the authentic way, and is when you screw up, you cannot restart the race, and the AI is fixed at 100%, which they say is the top 10 of online players. And you have to survive in that, and in either modes that you play, you can choose starting from rags to riches with a limited, I think 80,000 USD budget, and then you work your way up, and the other is they said they have 4. The 4th is gonna be you're a dentist, you can afford anything. I don't know if it was a joke or not. But the third,
it's a joke.
The third is you're gonna have I think 600,000 US dollar and start already on a high level. So you can choose, and it sounds as if it's gonna be not as on rails as the F1 games, but not as bare bones as, say, Assetto Corsa was.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
So we started this conversation with Le Mans Ultimate.
Yes.
And a career mode, right? Is there's two ways to do it. There's one where it's like you have a career that spans multiple years, and I think with Le Mans Ultimate that would be fantastic, because we now have 2023, 2024, 2025 of
we have
worth of content.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the GT cars.
That's what it started out with.
They're the proper GT cars. They're the GT cars that we weren't good enough for.
There.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's so good.
I don't think I've driven a GT3 car in Le Mans Ultimate yet.
You're not missing out on much. And to be fair, you don't actually need to buy the DLC because, well, no, you'd want to drive the Corvette over the Mustang, wouldn't you?
The Corvette GT3?
Yeah.
Why? When the Corvette GTE is there?
Because that's where the online games are. Is in GT3.
I mean, I haven't raced much LMU online, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
But
also, you would choose the Corvette over the Ford, wouldn't you? If you had to drive the GT3s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a DLC.
I have the LMU DLC. I bought the whole thing.
Coming back to career mode.
Yes.
Speaking of career modes and having the money to be able to do things.
Yeah, there's two ways to do it. So there's the career mode that spans multiple years, and then there's championship mode, which is honestly all that I've been asking for from LMU this whole time. So they have all the content for a full WEC season. Let me run a WEC season and track my points and track all the other cars. Like, I want at least that. And they seem to be promising at least that. Ideally, there would also be a career where you're starting, you do a championship. Like, I start out, I make a driver, I do a championship with that driver. At the end of that season, I can choose to go to a different team, or I can stick with the team that I'm with, because I'm a driver, right? I can sign different contracts, etc. I do that season, and then I get that option again. And then wherever I end up at the end is where I end up at the end. If I was a 3-time Le Mans winner, WEC championship winner, by the end of it, great. If I wrecked out of everything and did horribly and came in last every time, great. I'm still like having fun, and I'm playing along as an authentic racing driver experience. That's what I want out of every game. That's what I build for myself in Assetto Corsa. And one of the reasons that I love that Assetto Corsa has all the mods and skins and stuff that it does is because I've built up basically the entire 1960s through the like early 1970s. All of that content now basically exists in Assetto Corsa. I've made some of it, some of the skins. And I just, if I want to like do a championship, I'm racing through the 1960s. Excellent. You know, it like at the tracks, with the authentic cars, with the authentic skins. Like, if somebody changed a number plate from, you know, being here on the car to being here on the car, I've got that race to race, you know. It's like, that's the kind of stuff that I like. You know, I want to be there. I want to sit down and be immersed in the series and the world, and a championship progression is a necessary part of that for me. And so once LMU has that implemented and implemented well, I think I will be spending a lot more time in LMU than I already have.
If you're not spending the time in Project Motor Racing.
And that's the other thing. Project Motor Racing's career looks beautiful, and it's that like FIA GT. See, okay, this is the other thing. It's the same car as this. It's the same era as GTR2, which is where I first started my love of a championship career mode, because GTR2 had 2003 and 2004 as years, and so you could do a career where you did like the championship there, and then they didn't have it transfer over, but you could use your imagination and then start up a new championship series with the 2004 stuff. And then with mods, people made the rest of the decade going both directions. And so I was starting out like in a Lamborghini GT1 car in 2000, the Lamborghini Diablo GT1 car in 2000, running through that season a couple of times, going up Eau Rouge is fine, but then you get, or going up Eau Rouge gets fine, and then you get to Radion and it gets a little squirrely. But yeah, so I mean, and then the next year it's like, man, the Monoposto Lotus Elise, you know, doing that and like going through, and then by 2010, like I'm driving the Nissan GTR GT1 car. Like, you know, you can go through that whole gamut, and race every single track and every single race across that whole decade. I did that in college, in my basically dorm, with, you know, a T300 RS strapped to a desk. Like I lived that life, and it's so much more enjoyable because there's stakes for everything. Like, you get to the last race of the season, and like you get taken out at the start, and it's like, oh, this is my make or break race. I've got to really push now, you know? Like, as opposed to you load up a single player session, I get taken out at the start. Okay, hit escape, hit restart. Okay, cool. Great.
So you'd be running the PMR career on authentic settings.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Now,
although I do love. Go ahead. Okay. I do love the idea of like the difficulty slider is like how much money you start out with, because that's basically how it is in real life, and it reminds me of the South Park difficulty slider where it's you're choosing the race of the character.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's like easy mode is like a white guy and hard mode is like a black guy, and then there's all the range in between.
I love how Discord just decided you can't say that. That was great.
Yeah. Discord broke down on that. Yeah.
Discord just censored that whole sentence. I'm sure it's on your recording, but that's still
hilarious.
Funny.
That's so funny.
What I would love to see in Project Motor Racing more than anything else, and I think coming back to the F1 games, this is a thing that they do that no one else does, is the co-op campaign.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Cody,
yeah.
could you imagine you and me running? How sick would that? We would
that
live
would be
stream
phenomenal.
That. Live stream that
totally.
from both our perspectives to the WromWrom channel, and people can select the perspective they want.
I love that.
Oh, could you imagine?
By the way, LMU has already something like that. It's not a career mode, but in LMU,
yes, that's no fun. No, that's boring. That's boring. I know. I know what they've got. It's boring. It's not boring. No, it's not boring. It's a very, very important new thing that is actually very unique and will appeal to a lot of people. It's not what I want. I don't want to tag team with Cody. I want to race in a team with him, because the first person you have to beat in racing is your teammate.
Fair enough.
And that's what we need to do. That's where the fun is racing against someone who you are very good friends with.
Wheel to wheel.
And if you crash it, because obviously if you crash each other out, that is money out of your pocket as well.
Oh, true.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Again, they've set it up perfectly that if they can make a co-op campaign like the F1 games, that would be so incredible.
I fear it's so not amazing. What they're going for, but
it's a shame, because you would be able to write what's better. I mean, right, you could write a book, or you could play Dungeons and Dragons. Like, there's storytelling, and then there's cooperative storytelling. Like, that's the difference between the two. And I love collaborative storytelling. I love the idea of building your GT, like Grid did. But again, they didn't have the 2-player thing where you work up to Le Mans and you have to build up the money and the classes, and you have to beat Raven West and things like that.
Yeah.
That
Raven
stuff
Quest sounds like something from D&D.
It might be a city. Anyway, but yeah, I would love, again, if anyone's watching, I would love to see a co-op campaign in Project Motor Racing. That would be an absolute buy for me if that was the case.
Pity I haven't seen anybody on the Project Motor Racing Discord that looks as if he would be taking notes or be somebody official that is not a community moderator, because I would drop that idea to them. But I fear if you put that on the Discord, it's gonna be gone like a leaf on the wind.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'd sign up for that idea. Like I'd love to see that.
Yeah. But... yeah. Again, it's another one of those things where, because it's done in the F1 games and people quite rightfully deride the F1 games, everything that they bring to the game, or everything they bring to the market, is grouped in with that. When in reality, the F1 games just have bad handling.
But I mean, a good idea is a good idea, even if it's said by the wrong person. So
yes and no.
In a sense,
you think that, I think that, but the general populace are not like us. We're very weird and we know it.
They not like us. They not like us.
They don't like us. I mean, not like us.
Google gobble, Google gobble.
But yeah,
that's an obscure movie.
It's a very obscure movie. No, yes. Oh, anyway, we'll talk about that afterwards. But that is the Le Mans update, Project Motor Racing, and multiplayer all shoveled into one. Because there's still stuff to do, because you have to do like media presentations and things like that to satisfy sponsors. So you could have the media presentations be offline. That you do, like and then the races you have to do together at the same time. Be really interesting, because then you can like attract sponsors and money and things like that.
As I said, I don't think Project Motor Racing is going
I don't think that's the way they're going, and it's a shame that they're not, but it would be really cool if they did.
Speaking about things done together, we were at Zolder.
Oh, we were.
Y'all were at Zolder.
Now we can talk about the experience now that we've gone public with part 1 of 3 of the videos.
Yeah. Certi, you know more about the organization than I do. Just how much work was it to get this actually moving?
Well, hang on. Let's talk about what this is.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, that as well.
So, thanks to the organizational help of Rouge, we not only trained on an Rouge rig, we also drove what are called Fun Cup, which are racing cars that have a chassis as if they would be Volkswagen Beetles, which they are not in any way, shape, or form. It's just the form of it.
Yeah.
And then the day after, we went to Eau Rouge, where they built the different rigs and had a lot of background information, what they use, 3D printing, blah blah blah, and how they do the rigs, and had an extensive conversation with Kurt from Eau Rouge. Eau Rouge, a company that we met. Remember, Cody? We met at the Sim Racing Expo in Nuremberg. They had a karting rig that was set up quite well for karting. And they had this cold seat that pushes air through the seat so that you don't end up driving 12 hours and sweat going everywhere. So I spent the best part of the last year talking to Kurt. And because he, of course, has thousands of things to do, they are present in most every endurance race in Europe. And last week, for example, they were at Spa for the whole weekend for the endurance race there. So it was not as if I was pushing and he was having anything against it. It was that he was having time when I didn't, and I was having time when he didn't. But we had been discussing about doing something for the last part of the year, and since the beginning of this year, the idea gelled of, well, Rouge is at Zolder. Do you like Zolder? And I said, do we? And he said, well, there's these cars called the Fun Cup, and you could rent one of the cars and get around Zolder for half a day. And I said, that sounds like a good idea. Let's move to that. And the concept at the beginning was, we train at home, we write down the times. We train on Rouge's rig, we write down the times. We drive at Zolder, we write down the times, which all got busted because on our own rigs, as well as on the Rouge rig, we used slicks, and we drove, when we were at Zolder, we drove semi-slicks. So the times were not comparable.
to be fair, I think by the end of my stint, those semi-slicks were
quite slicky.
Slick.
Yeah, I got out of my second stint, and while Serta and I were like decompressing and just talking and understanding and that sort of thing, I noticed that I can't remember the name of the guy who owned the car now. That's really bad. But he was running around with a pressure gauge and just releasing a load of pressure from all 4 of the tires. So apparently, I made use of the rubber,
which is the way that you should, of course.
That's how it should work. Yeah,
exactly. I'm checking now the name because, of course, I have it here, but I have to find it first. But yes. So we were at Zolder. It was a track day, so we were not alone, or we were not only with fun cups there. There were all kinds of cars on track, which on the other hand was interesting because it showed us how well or not we knew how to manage around faster and slower cars.
Which was
David?
Did you?
Which was very good. Which was very good.
Okay,
we were
you left me hanging there.
Did you?
Like I can only speak from my experience. Ike, you can speak for yours, but I was able to move out of the way fast for those who were faster, and be like the way sim racing tells us, or the way that we learn is there is a racing line. You either keep to that racing line and let the other pass you, but then be slow enough that the other notices, okay, they're letting me by, and just don't wave around. Just keep to your line, and the other one is gonna notice you're keeping to your line, and they're gonna pass you. And you notice the slower drivers who did not know about that, they were waving all around. You didn't know when or where to pass them because you did not know when they were going out of the racing line. I had that a couple of times, but I also had people who knew exactly, okay, I'm keeping there, you go and pass. So it was easy to deal with other drivers. Name's Davey, by the way.
Davey, perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think we actually had
Davey Snippet.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, very, very, very appropriate name. I'm trying to find where it was in the video. There was a snippet of the video where no, it wasn't there, where I come down the main straight alongside a BMW, because it wasn't just knowing how to be passed; it was knowing how to pass in some ways quite bloody forcefully. But yeah, what Serta was saying was absolutely spot on. Like, taking to the track after being in the sim you don't need to know exactly how the car handles to be able to understand where you can let people past, where you can push to get past people, where's safe. Like one of the biggest things that I had is I was overtaking a lot of people, but through the section where the second chicane was, I was just like, nope, I'm not passing through there.
The whatever blah 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 bocht. I don't remember the name. It's a
yeah. That used to be called Villeneuve chicane. Like, if I was racing, absolutely send it up the inside, get on the brakes, job done, whatever, right? But we weren't racing; we were on a track day. And so when you come up to someone in a slower car at that point, you're not going to gain anything by overtaking them or try to overtake them in a silly place or anything like that. You're just going to create risk. And in a track day environment, that's not what you want to do.
Yeah. You want all people enjoying the track, and you don't want to be a nuisance to the faster ones, but you don't want to be a dick to the slower ones.
Yes, I would much rather be a dick to a faster driver or a slow driver in a fast car, than if I'm overtaking you and you're in a car that is obviously slower than me, I'm going to be very respectful. There was an M3 that was a particular pain in the backside when I was trying to set some actual fast laps, because he wouldn't get out of the way. I had apex. Oh, there it is. I had apex speed on him round every corner. I had throttle response on him round every corner, and I had braking on him round every corner. But he had about 200 horsepower more than me. So it got to the point where I ended up taking a bit employing that stupid thing that you do in sim racing where you have less power but more speed, and let back a bit through the final chicane, nailed both like the braking apex exit, got right on the curb and right on the throttle, and I pulled alongside him and just blocked the access to the turn one apex. It's just like, no, I'm coming through here. It's my corner now. So yeah, it's
another thing that that I noticed that I got from sim racing that I could use. It's something that you also find in the video. Is the what we call muscle memory. I knew how to react. There was a situation with a car where the car was going a little bit sideways and then the rear started losing control, and I didn't even think. All my reactions were instinctual, coming from sim racing, and I got control of the car. I have to say, neither Ike nor me ended up in the gravel or had any kind of accident or any kind of issue. We drove as fast as we could, maybe even faster than we should, and we had no issues at all. So that's already a plus for me. Being able to survive Zolder for a whole evening and not be the reason they had to yellow or red light, which they had to do a couple of times, was already a fantastic result. Also, as I said, I was pushing the car, and on the first corner of Zolder, I got into a situation and all my senses reacted. Of course, I had the AS meter to notice it, and everything reacted so that I kept the car on track. I was able to not lose too much momentum and go into the second corner, and that I'm pretty sure is because of the training that I got from sim racing, where all these movements when you start losing the car are so low in your brain functions that you react instinctively.
It's a natural response, isn't it? It's like the reaction time, especially when it's like when someone pinches you. You don't think about it. You pull your arm away.
Mm-hmm.
This was like, there were a lot of times where I would get on the brakes and the back would go squirrely, and it's like, okay, and I can feel, right, this is, if you've never been on a racetrack in a car, please bear with us here, because oh my goodness, I can't explain to you. Right, so I've done lots of karting. I've done a couple of bits of track day driving before now. There is what you call an under rotation in the tire before it locks up. There is a threshold between the tires being fully stuck to the ground and locking up. And that is where you get the most effective braking. I knew that. I know that from karting. I know that from my cars that didn't run ABS on road tires.
Oh, because these cars don't have ABS or power steering, by the way.
Yes. Which is the reason why both Serta and I are now running our wheels on the maximum strength, or close to maximum strength. But there is a vibe in the car, and that's all I can describe it as, right? it's nothing you can put your finger on, but you can feel in the car when the tires are at their absolute longitudinal limit and will not give you any more if you ask it of them. It is bizarre to try and explain to someone who's never been on a track, or to someone who's not interested in racing. It is a weird sensation to be able to dance all four wheels on the edge of grip and still get the car stopped. And again, that's what you don't get in sim racing.
Yeah.
Like, I think the biggest thing the thing that I took away most from that experience was, I've always been a massive R Factor 2 fan. And I've always been a massive R Factor 2 fan because of the driving physics and because of the way that it handles and the way that the cars feel and the way that the tires feel on the corners, and the list goes on. I have never felt so vindicated in my life of putting so much faith in the ISI, the G-Motor ISI engine. That is it, obviously in AMS2, in R Factor 2, in LMU.
In GTR2.
Of course.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh my goodness, fingers crossed.
GTR2. GTR2.
Oh, GTR2. Yes, sorry, yeah. I was getting confused.
I hope this isn't a 2004 sim. I hope it's in a 2004 sim.
I hope it's in the next one.
Yeah, you're right.
But there is no other sim translates that threshold braking like ISI, G-Motor, like ISI.
Fair enough.
Nothing does it. And it, yeah, I was rather coy when we were there, because I didn't want to be a pain. I was trying to think of the right word for it, but yeah, I absolutely stand behind. We get on at Zolder every now and then because of his love for AMS2, but dear God, it's proper. Like, going from a track to back to Le Mans Ultimate, which was my first, the first thing that I drove when I came back was Le Mans Ultimate, and it was a league race. I think I literally arove and drove a league race. And the stuff that I learned, that I remembered on the track, went straight into LMU. Like, there was no translation layer or anything like that. It was, I feel this feeling coming through the steering wheel. I remember that. That means the car's doing this. Now, I would need to go back to the racetrack every month or two to refresh that memory and to expand on the experience and that sort of thing, to actually get speed out of the cars in simulation. But having that feeling translate directly back was not what I was expecting to take away from the trip.
And of course, one thing that sim racing cannot give you is, after the second chicane, you have that long, I think it's a 180 turn, that then ends up in that long left-handed turn.
Yep.
And coming out of the second chicane, I think it's called Turlammenbocht, but whatever.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Going on the throttle, measuring the throttle the right way, and being able to feel, okay, the car can go a little bit faster, or no, you should get a little bit off the throttle so that the car is still on the grip limit. That is something that no sim will ever give you, because that is something of the car feel, of the G forces that are exerted on your body through physics. And not just physics on the wheel or on the pedals, physics on your body, and being able to measure the throttle because of what your body, the whole body, is informing you, is of course something that sim racing will never give us. We know that, and it was a fantastic experience.
Oh, it was amazing. have the utmost sympathy for people who try their best to make real racing work, because it's not just because it's not just the on track that it is what appeals to real racing. Cody, you can actually have an input on this one, because you don't just arrive, get in the car, and drive like you do with Sims. You'll have a chat with the people in the pits. You'll have a chat with the other drivers. You'll have a chat with the person who gets out of the car. You'll have a chat with, in our case, a driver coach. You'll have a chat with your team manager. Like, there's so many conversations.
Safety briefing. That's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But there is an atmosphere being at a racetrack that you cannot replicate anywhere in the world.
True.
And there is nowhere I would rather be, whether I'm driving or not, than in a paddock on a race day, or just on an active day where people are doing laps. There is an electricity and a passion that vibes through every square foot of a pit lane. Even when it's like, go on.
That's something that I luckily was able to live through for a while, because my father always had good contact to the inside people at Jarama, and on the Formula One races there. We regularly were at the paddock. We were at the boxes. It was less limited than it is today, so it was easier to be there. And of course, alone the smells. It's like,
oh, absolutely.
You're a petrol head when the smell of oil and gasoline and so triggers happy memories for you.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I recently took my cousin to Donington Park, introduced her to the paddock, and she totally got it as soon as we got there. Like, it's yeah. If you've never been to a race course, go. If you've never driven a race car on a racetrack, do it if you have the opportunity. Don't mess around. As I say, don't mess around with these supercars and things like that. Go to a grassroots or a low-level race circuit race course. Ask to take part in a test day or something like that. Get on the proper tires. Get in something that you will actually feel the car properly moving underneath you, and it's a bug. It's a thing that you either have it and you get it, or you don't.
No, it's a fun cup. It's based on a bug.
Those cars are dreamy.
Well played, sir. But again,
I was waiting for my opportunity there.
That was beautiful. But again, Cody, this is a thing that you can relate to, coming from your short courses and from because that's the thing that I am unbelievably jealous of America for, is just how accessible your grassroots and grassroots track racing is.
Well,
no.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. In terms of availability of stuff like that, yes. I'm. If you're hearing that, I'm moving my keyboard. So
we've got this anxiety going, gents.
Yeah, in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. So if you are near a racetrack, the nearest one to me is MSR Crescent. Would be the Motorsport Ranch Crescent, which is a very Texas name for a racetrack. They only really do track days. They're not set up to do like much in terms of competitions. But you can take whatever car you have, as long as it's got the right safety equipment installed. But a whole lot of road cars with I think basically just like tow hitch on the front, or tow hook on the front, and fire extinguisher, I think is the main ones. But if you've got those, you can go and do track days all you like, for as much as you have the money for. And so there's that. That's great. In terms of competition racing circuits, though, unless you're doing oval racing, and again, that's like there's not a whole lot of like go to an oval and do practice laps. Not a whole lot of that.
Yeah. No.
Unless you're near a competition racing circuit, there's nothing because the US is big. It's massive. And you guys over in Europe are spoiled because what would be a massive trip across countries for you guys to go to, you know, a nice racing circuit is the distance for a lot of Americans to go to any racing circuit.
Yeah.
So it's more accessible in some ways. It's less accessible in others.
Yeah, you need to live in the right area.
Yeah,
I mean, Zolder is 7
that,
hours away from me, which is not much.
Yeah, so Crescent, the
me,
nearest circuit that I'm talking about, is about half that distance away from me.
Yeah. I am especially spoilt here because if I go an hour that way, it's Alton Park. If I go an hour that way, it's Donington Park. And if I go an hour that way, there's Silverstone. If I go 2 hours that way, it's Holyhead, Welsh track, where they do Race of Remembrance. Yeah, everything's a lot closer here. It's nice.
And the annoying thing for me is a couple of miles north of me, there's a neighborhood that used to be a racetrack. It was green. I think it was like Green Hills or something like that. It was where the Shelby GT350 made its debut and won its debut race.
Yes.
And that track no longer exists because it's a suburban housing development now. So that is the reality and likely future of a lot of local racetracks in the US,
especially in the US. Yeah, I think that in the UK and EU they actually have a heck of a lot of protections to stop that from happening.
Yeah, Laguna Seca is looking like it might go that direction too.
The direction of protection or the direction of being eliminated,
being extinct. They already have noise restrictions implemented.
Yeah.
So when they built it, it was out in the middle of frickin' nowhere. There was nobody around. And then people built houses by the track, and it was like, okay, well, it's going to be near a racetrack. It's going to be loud. And then people were fine with that, moved near the racetrack, and then were like, this is loud. You shouldn't be able to race. You shouldn't be able to make this much noise. And so now they have like mufflers that they have to install on a lot of the cars to reduce the amount of noise around the track, and it reduces the horsepower of the cars as well. And they can only ever do like actual like competition racing events just a few times a year.
Yeah, I think it's either 5, it's 4, 5, or 10 is the number that rings a bell. But it's so essentially their competitive weekends are not a lot.
Yeah, so that I would consider emblematic of the state of racing in the United States right now.
But again, that's also obviously we're going to be biased, but I do believe that if you were there before, you have seniority.
Oh yeah, 100%. Should be.
You don't mess with the stuff that's already there. You live around it. It's just But anyway, that's it's very on topic for real racing and going to Zolder.
Yeah.
Which thankfully, to be fair, speaking of, Zolder is not just a racetrack. It is a whole it's in protected land, like a protected forest, if I remember correctly. And it's got like a swimming pool attached to it, and cycling trails, and race course, but for people.
Oh,
but the 400-meter running tracks. That's what they call it.
Yeah, track and field. Yeah.
Can you tell I've been driving a GT3 car for a while? But yeah, I do think that the Circuit Zolder is going to be with us for a long time. Thank goodness. Because one of my teammates says that Zolder is his favorite racetrack, and has threatened to murder me on several occasions because I keep on saying how good it is in real life.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's something that, well, again, it was something that I wanted to do when we were going to Sim Racing Expo last year, was to drop past Zolder and see if I could take. Well, I wanted to take Cody and his girlfriend around the track.
Yep.
Because, like, I mean, even at 20 kilometers per hour, it was on the way. Absolutely was on the way. But like even at 20 kilometers per hour, just again, it's that atmosphere. It's electric being around that kind of history.
Even more at 100. What was it? 900. I think we were at 190.
180 kilometers per hour. I got to at the entrance for turn 1.
That's awesome.
That was when I was allowed to get a good exit from the chicane. But I got Davey on a few occasions was like, "Are you okay with it?" And like when he got into, because the first thing that he did was did like a couple of laps. I think he did like 3 or 4 laps with us, and was like, "Okay, I'll slowly build up to how fast I drive." And I was like, before he even started the energy, I was like, "Right, Davey, my guy, do not hold back. Go for it."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Go for it from the off." I'm like, "Yes. If the tires are up to temperature, go for it. I need to see what I need to be doing." And so he did, and that, I think, gave me such a leg up on what I am supposed to be feeling through the corners as well. When it came to doing my actual laps, I got a couple of free laps where I wasn't guessing. It was just, I'm going. And then and then it comes back to that thing that you learn from sim racing, which is, okay, braking here, I went too slow. I'm going to brake 10 meters further, 5 meters further, a meter further. And
yeah, I was all the time observing brakes, throttle, and gear. Like, which gear is he? Yeah. What is he doing? I mean, you can hear if he's on the throttle or on the brakes, so the only point my ears were on the motor, knowing where he was braking or throttling, and my eyes were on the gearing.
I wasn't. For me, again, as you say, you can hear what gear you're in, and you kind of count up, 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 down, down, down.
Okay.
For me, I was looking at his turning points and where he was placing the car, because I know, for example, because we saw earlier in the day, when we were, because where Eau Rouge's base is across the road from the first chicane. So you walk across the car park, and that's the first chicane. And in the morning, people were just 4 wheels over the second part of the chicane, like all 4 wheels. Some of the faster cars were getting airborne off it, but obviously most of the cars, you slow down for the chicane, so you don't really notice it too much. Anyway, but it's like, I know where theoretically I can cut. I don't know where in reality I can cut.
Right. Yeah.
And one of the things that was the biggest learn for me is the last chicane on the right hander. You can go all 4 wheels across the inside of the curb. So imagine you've driven Zolder enough times, Cody, right?
Yeah. I've hit the sausage curbs enough times as well.
Yes, exactly. Right, those sausage curbs don't exist. It's great.
That's awesome.
So you brake at the bridge, over slow for the first corner, balance the car, and then you apply the throttle at the exit of the left-hander, and you don't let go until you get to turn 1. Because you cut you cut fully across the curb, the car pulls you out across the outside curb, and again, because these Fun Cup cars are tiny, you can put 4 wheels across the curb and there as well.
That's super cool.
So and again, that's one of the ways. That's how I got past the M3 was brake. I can brake early because you're being useless anyway. Right, late apex into the first corner by a couple, I'm talking like a foot or two.
Mm-hmm.
Get the car straight and settled. Apply full throttle. Don't do anything other than keep the car on the track until you get to turn 1. And yeah, I wish I could do that every weekend. That was I think it's fair to say what we've said before is you either have it or you don't. It's a bug and you either get it or you don't. I think I have it. I think this is a problem.
I think everybody listening to this podcast probably has it.
Probably, and I really do hope as well that people can live a little bit vicariously through our experience as well, because it's very easy to get very salty when people get opportunities, and I've been there. I've totally been there. I hate it when I see people get opportunities. Like, I literally went to Donington Park as a spectator, and there was a GT4 car going around so slowly. I was like, I'm going to go to their garage. I'm going to tell them that I can drive faster than that. Let me have a go. No, really, that was the thing that happened. But again, we were there on your behalf doing the learning that is prohibitive to most of us. And it was every lap that I did, I was experimenting. And I was trying to, okay, if I did this in this sim, then I would be off in the weeds. If I did this in this sim, I would get this. Now that's actually got some correlation to it there. Cool, that's good to know. I can use that going forwards. And it was, I wish we had have mic'd up for the drive. I really do.
And our GoPro, in case anybody on the podcast is asking themselves, we had a GoPro, and 5 minutes into driving, the GoPro went flying away and dropped, luckily inside of the car. But yeah, we only got 5 minutes out of I think it's 20 or 30 minutes stint that I did.
It's a shame. Yeah. But it is ways. The thing is, it was our first time capturing that as well. And if we got an opportunity to do it again, there are lessons learned. I'm now looking at 360-degree cameras, because one of the things that we found out, as you can see in the video, if you go watch it, is if you
go watch it, it's good.
You have to go. It's so good. If you are if you have the camera set up in such a way that you can see the occupants and you can see what they're doing on the wheel and that sort of thing, you can't see the track.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist. It's just whiteout. And that's just camera contrast, and there's nothing you can do about that unless you have 2 cameras, or you get a 360 cam where you've got the camera facing outwards and the camera facing inwards, so that this has got one exposure, the one on the inside has another exposure. And I think if we get the opportunity,
imagine they would on those 360 cameras, because it is supposed to be one thing. It would average those 2.
Nope.
He's been looking at it, so I'll take his word.
It doesn't.
Sure.
All right, it's great. I've seen footage. I've seen footage of people where like.
I suppose because they use different sensors. It's not just one sensor, like in old style cameras. It's 2 cameras. Oh, okay. I thought they were just using an array of sensors. No.
It's 2 sensors, like back to back, like the Insta360 and that sort of thing. They're back to back in the GoPro I'm looking at.
Yeah, but remember that modern cameras, like digital cameras, don't have only one sensor. It's an array of sensors getting the images.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, yeah. But again, they're 2 separate modules that are independently controlled, and you can see the seam where it's trying desperately to like merge the 2, which is very funny as well, by the way. But yeah, there were lessons to be learned. If we get the opportunity to do it again, and I really hope that we do, I hope that there's a path to us doing that again, especially if, as when we were speaking with Kurt, he had some ideas and plans as well, which I think would make it even better. But again, that's a different story for another time. We'll get to that if it materializes. But if we do get the opportunity to, that's absolutely on my to-do list. Is get a proper camera that will capture the track and us properly. Because if we can commentate over what we're doing and what we're saying, I was talking the entire damn time. That doesn't come as any surprise to any of you. I'm well aware, but I was talking through my process and what I was doing and what I'm noticing from the car and what's similar to what and that sort of thing. Yeah, because I'm sad. But yes, there are 2 more videos coming from that visit. So keep your eyes on the channel. We will have post conclusions as well, with like time that we've had to settle down and cool down and reflect on it, like we have here, which is going to be not the direction that you would think it would go, I think is the nice way to put it. But yeah, keep an eye on the YouTube channel for that. And we've been going for quite a while as well.
Yeah, we still have the question of the month, and I have a question of the month, which has got a very easy answer, mostly a yes or no answer. Listeners to the podcast, viewers of the YouTube version of the podcast, do you want to see Cody's iRacing career? Yes or no? I vote yes, but that's not a surprise.
Yeah, no, we all vote yes.
I mean, the answer is always going to be yes. I'm sure. I don't think there's going to be people who are like, oh yeah, no, I don't want you to make that content. No, I mean, more is better. The big one I want to know is, do you want me to live stream it, or do you want me to make a video that's cut down just with the things that are actually interesting?
Both is also an option.
Exactly, you can live stream.
No, right, okay. But here's the thing. I want to
ask the question.
Yeah, I was say, I put this to you as well. If you live stream, the footage is there on YouTube for Serta to take and edit into a highlights clip.
It doesn't even need to be on YouTube. Fair. He can record it on high quality and send it to me. We have the means and ways, because how do you think that I do this podcast? I don't do it taking it out of Discord. That would be horrible. I do it based on your. It would be funny. The quality would not be good. The quality of the video. I mean, of the image. So sure.
Well, yeah.
You were going to say, Cody, sorry.
Narrowing down that question. Yeah, do you want me to live stream it, or do you want it as a video? Or as videos. That's the question. So let me know in the comments.
This is a good way of putting it.
And smash that like button.
Yes, make sure you like the video. Subscribe if you're not. Wait, no, we have a thing for this.
Yeah, we do. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other on the podium.
We missed a thing.
Yeah, the patron thing.
He's got to redo it.
I don't.
He's got to redo it.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Okay, go and do it.
Yes. Thank you very much to our patrons over at patreon.com/WromWrom for their support and their ideas, and also to our members here on YouTube for their support. If you are a patron or a member of at least the Formula 4 driver or bronze level, you will be able to hear us record this podcast live, warts and all, and we'll be able to react and ask questions in chat. Even more reason to become a patron.
You messed it up.
I did. I did. My microphone's here, you see.
We'll never end the show.
No, it's fine. Again, warts and all.
Exactly.
But then we get to see it live. I see nothing wrong with this. We're proving the point.
Again, until next time, save fuel, collect pickup, and we'll see each other on the podium. Bye!
Bye!
Bye-bye.